Hey everyone and welcome to my channel, The Reader Teacher. My name's Scott. In these coming soon videos, I share my most anticipated children's books releases for each month. This video is Series 2, Episode 2 of Coming Soon, and it previews the upcoming books for the month of February 2022. You can find my previous month's Coming Soon videos here. I'll be going through them in release date order, and where they have the same release date, then they'll be alphabetically by title. If you just want to hear about a specific book, then make sure to use the timestamps in the description below. I hope this video helps you to discover more children's books to add to your TBRs, and I'll be doing more monthly videos like this one throughout the year. So make sure to leave me a like, hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I release a new video. Let me know in the comments below which of the books you like the look of, and all the links to the books that I mention in this video will also be in the description box below. So let's take a look at the books. First up is The Big Book of Festivals by Marita Bullock, Joan-Maree Hargreaves and Liz Rowland, out on the 1st of February. Celebrate festivals from all around the world in this stunningly illustrated collection that provides the perfect introduction to these incredible religious and cultural celebrations. From festivals such as Diwali, Christmas and Hanukkah to La Tomatina and the Festival of Giants, this book takes a look at the traditions of the outrageously fun and joyful to the more serious and sombre, and those dating back hundreds and sometimes thousands of years. Wonderfully rich and informative, I can see this being a firm classroom favourite with its explosion of colour on every page. So big thanks Faber for the finished copy. Next is It Fell from the Sky by illustrator extraordinaires the Fan Brothers, out on the 1st of February. Now, if you're a fan of the Fan Brothers, this looks like more of the same engrossing quality that you'll find in their previous picture books. When a mysterious object falls from the sky, the insects of the garden don't know what to make of it. Each one of them is sure it is something different, but they all agree it is the most amazing thing they've ever seen, and it's a wonder for them all to share. That is until Spider speaks up the next morning, declaring that it belongs to him because it fell near to his web. But when Spider starts to put it on show so that insects from far and wide can come look at it, and then charges a small fee to see it, what will Spider do after everyone stops showing up? Thanks Quarto for sending me a furnished copy. Also out on the 1st of February is Me and White Supremacy, Young Adult Edition by Layla Saad. From the author of the Sunday Times best-selling book by the same name, and based on a reworking of the original, comes the Young Adult Edition that teaches readers to feel more confident in exploring, talking about and understanding anti-racism and white supremacy. Giving them the knowledge and practical tools they need by addressing younger readers of all races, this book shares moving stories, discusses stereotypes, cultural appropriation and much more, and this book will help change the world for its readers, now and for the generations that come after them. So thanks Quirkus for the finished copy. Animals come in all sorts of weird and wonderful shapes and sizes, and Amazing Animals 100+ Creatures That Will Boggle Your Mind by Sabrina Weiss and Paul Daviz, out on the 3rd of February, showcases the very best of them. Discover playful dolphins, sleepy koalas, nocturnal animals, and even a fish that keeps its baby safe in its own mouth in the pages of this fact-filled and gorgeously illustrated book, including incredible and bite-sized information about their survival skills, extreme habitats and astounding adaptations, fold-out pages and world maps and much more. This book is one you could spend all day poring over. Big thanks What on Earth Books for the finished copy. The Bird Singers is the debut novel by Wersocki Morris, out on the 3rd of February, that follows two sisters, Leah and Izzy, currently on holiday and living in a cottage in the Lake District. When strange and terrifying things begin to happen, such as a weird whistling heard at night, and then one of them begins to have visions of a woman with huge yellow eyes and long white hair, could any of this be linked to the rumours in the village of a shadowed woman that the locals call the Losedale Stranger? Having grown up listening to and loving their Polish grandma's fairy tales and stories, their holiday takes on a dark twist, and the sisters begin to wonder if the myths that their babcia told them might just be real. Big thanks Hachette for the finished copy. Bottled by teachers Tom and Joe Brassington, out on the 3rd of February, is a starting point picture book for early, crucial conversations surrounding mental well-being, and to help children of all ages understand why and how they should share and express their emotions in a healthy way, rather than bottling them up inside. Partnering with Unbound, a crowdfunding publisher, they've turned their dream of making the book into a reality for distribution to classrooms and homes across the country, where parents and teachers can now use their book as an invaluable tool to create emotional, honest spaces for children in their care. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy. Another one for the 3rd of February is The Boy Whose Wishes Came True by Helen Rutter, author of one of 2021's most loved children's books, with the boy who made everyone laugh. In this one, Archie Crumb is having a tough time. Picked on at school, picked last for any team, his home has been sad and quiet since Dad left, and his luck feels like it's running out. But things start looking up when Archie bumps his head, and he literally starts seeing stars. His favourite famous football player standing in front of him, granting him 9 wishes. Will Archie wish his way to happiness, or will he realise that magic wishes may be wonderful, but only he has the true power to change his life? Exploring the realities of young carers, hidden poverty and wish fulfilment, I'm really excited to read this after enjoying Helen's first book. So big thanks Scholastic for sending me a finished copy. Formerly published as The Peculiars, Carnival of the Lost by Kieran, Larwood and Sam Usher, out on the 3rd of February, has been reworked by the author to add further layers of richness, intrigue and brand new characters this time around. In this one, children are being sucked into the River Thames and there have been strange sightings of a mechanical monster. And it's up to the carnival troupe that comprises Sheba the wolf girl, Pyewackett a witch's imp, Gigantus the giant and Sister Moon a knife thrower, who become determined to find these forgotten children. Will they be able to do so? I'm really looking forward to reading this and returning to this carnivalesque world to see how it's changed from the original. So thanks Faber for the finished copy. From Dougie Poynter, McFly bassist, dinosaur fanatic and co-author of the best-selling picture book series, The Dinosaur That Pooped, comes Dinosaurs Rock, out on the 3rd of February. Filled with tons of fun facts, dino jokes and profiles, dinosaurs in pop culture, interviews with scientists and incredible infographics, you can discover everything you have ever wanted to know about these jaw-droppingly cool prehistoric legends. So thanks Macmillan for the finished copy. Christopher Edge's books are always so well written and often end up blowing your mind, so I can't wait to read his next, Escape Room, out on the 3rd of February. In this one we follow 12-year-old Amy, who arrives at the Escape, the ultimate live-action escape room, with puzzles and challenges to beat before the time runs out. Meeting her teammates, Amy learns from the host that they have been chosen to save the world, and they must work together to find the answer. But as he locks them inside the first room, they quickly realise that this is no ordinary game. Will they be able to find their way out and find the answer? Big thanks Nosy Crow for the finished copy. I'm really excited to see the next book by Jenny Pearson on the way, with Grandpa Frank's Great Big Bucket List, illustrated by David O'Connell, out on the 3rd of February. When Frank John Davenport receives an inheritance from a grandma he didn't know he had, things take a turn for the unexpected. Not least because he gets his hands on a whopping £462,000, but because the money comes with strict instructions and a new grandpa. Armed with his new and very loaded credit card, he begins to make a list of all the things he wants to try out with him. But after all the hot air balloon rides, monster truck lessons and epic parkour experiences, will Frank discover that money can buy happiness, or is in fact happiness priceless? Huge thanks Esborn for the finished copy. Next is The King of Copper Mountains by Paul Biegel, out on the 3rd of February, which has to have one of the most gorgeous covers I've seen in a long time. Originally published in Dutch in the Netherlands in 1964, this much-loved children's classic that tells the story of an elderly king's failing health, which is kept alive by stories told by visiting animals, is now being republished by Pushkin Press. The search is on for a knightly story more wonderful than the last for the king, and one by one the kingdom's inhabitants arrive with theirs. As the king's doctor searches for his cure, will the animals be able to keep King Manselane's heart beating until it arrives? Thanks Pushkin Press for the finished copy. How excited am I to see the 3rd book by Elle McNicoll, Like a Charm, coming out on the 3rd of February. Very. Set in Edinburgh, where main character Ramya has moved back to, we see her inherit a mysterious book from her beloved late grandfather, and with it, 3 words of warning that are concealed within its pages. Beware the sirens. Setting out to find out what this means, she becomes pulled into her family's world of secrets and spells, and it isn't long before Ramya finds that there is more to her powers than she could have ever imagined. Elle's books always speak from the heart, and I'm really looking forward to this story that she tells from an own voice's perspective with a protagonist who has been diagnosed with dyspraxia. Thanks Knights of for the finished copy. Meet Loki, who is very bad at being good in Loki, A Bad God's Guide to Being Good by Louie, out on the 3rd of February. Perfect for fans of Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Tom Gates, this is the wry, witty and very doodly diary of Norse god Loki and the trials of being trapped on Earth as a weedy 11-year-old boy after being banished to live as a normal schoolboy after one prank too many. If he can show moral improvement within 1 month, then Loki can return home to Asgard. But what if he can't? Well, then it's eternity in a pit of angry snakes. Full of anarchic humour, this one looks like it'll have you roaring with laughter as well as learning lots about Norse mythology. Thanks Walker Books for the finished copy. Next is Luma and the Pet Dragon by Leah Mohammed and Loretta Shower, out on the 3rd of February, which is Leah's debut novel and is inspired by her British-Pakistani heritage and by the kinds of stories she would have loved to read as a girl. When Luma wakes up on the morning of her 7th birthday, she knows that today will be rather special, but she has no idea just how extraordinary today will actually be, as she meets Timea, a baby dragon who can talk, but who when anyone else is around, actually changes into an ordinary fluffy puppy. With plenty of mischief and mayhem to boot, can Luma keep the secret of her pet dragon whilst also staying calm amidst the chaos? Thanks Welbeck Flame for the finished copy. I'm a big fan of Dan Smith's novels, especially his historical ones, so I'm delighted to see Nisha's War being published on the 3rd of February. It's 1942 and Nisha's home has been destroyed by war, and she and her mother have fled to her father's ancestral home in England. Perched upon a cliff top on the cold northern coast, she misses the heat of her home in Malaya. When her mother falls gravely ill, she's left to face her formidable grandmother alone, and grandmother's rules are countless and include not climbing the old weeping tree she has in her garden. But one night a ghost child beckons Nisha to sit under its boughs, and when he promises her mother's life in return for 3 truths, the pull of finding a friend and maybe more proves irresistible. Big thanks Chicken House for sending me a finished copy. Also out on the 3rd of February is The Secret of Haven Point by Lisette Orton, a book with a diverse cast of disabled characters who are celebrated exactly the way they are and who have been created by a disabled author drawing on her own experiences. This tale tells the story of Alpha Lux, who washed up on Haven Point Beach as a baby beside a remote lighthouse and was raised by a mermaid. Now she lives as a reclin in the lighthouse on its coastline with a whole host of other reclins, children and adults who have made a ramshackle home for themselves at Haven Point after feeling they weren't welcome in their own society. Led by the captain, he knows how important it is that the reclins stay hidden from the outside world. But when Alpha spots a strange light up on the headland, will her and her beloved family be in danger of being discovered by outsiders? Thanks Puffin for the proof copy. Another explosive, action-packed new adventure from the award-winning author of Kick and Pop comes out on the 3rd of February with Spark by Mitch Johnson. In this one, Ash has always lived in Last Village, lonely since the day his father left and never came back. The world is unbearably hot, water is drying up, and life is hard. And after a vicious thunderstorm, Ash wakes up to find out that the village's water supply has run out, and all the other villagers have mysteriously disappeared. Setting off in search of water and for answers about what might have happened to the villagers, can he find the answers he needs, and maybe even the truth about what happened to his father? Thanks Hachette for the finished copy. Perfect for fans of Dork Diaries, What's New Harper Drew by Kathy Weeks and Alexei Bitskoff is a fun look at family life and friendship through the diary of the hilarious Harper Drew and her maximum drama-filled world. Taking note of all the totally ridiculous things that seem to go on around her in her new journal, she delves into the mishaps and mayhem that seem to crop up a lot within her crazy family, including the llamas on their disastrous family holiday. I'm looking forward to joining Harper as she works out how to deal with the daily catastrophes she faces, so thanks Hachette for sending me a finished copy. Featuring a colourful Slavic cast of tempestuous gods and frightening monsters, The Wind Child by Gabriella Houston, out on the 3rd of February, is one I'm really looking forward to reading. In this one, no human has ever returned from Navia, the Slavic afterlife, but 12-year-old Mara is not entirely human. She is the granddaughter of Strebog, the god of winter winds, and she's determined to bring her beloved father back from the dead. So with her best friend, she sets out on an epic journey to defy the gods and rescue her father. And they will have to face forest lords, enchanted goddesses, the stormy sea, and the villainous Baba Latin Gorga. And little do they know of the terrible forces they have set in motion, for the world is full of darkness, and Mara will have to rely on her wits to survive. Thanks you, clan, for the finished copy. Based on the popular nursery rhyme Hey Diddle Diddle comes picture book Yes You Can Cow by Rashmi Surdeshpande and Rikin Parekh, out on the 3rd of February. It's the big performance of the nursery rhyme, but unfortunately for Cow, she's having second thoughts, suffering stage fright and is too scared to jump. What if she crashes? What if everyone laughs at her? But the curtain's almost up and the audience are waiting. Can Cow overcome her fear of failure and become the star of the show? Thanks Faber for sending me a finished copy. Out on the 8th of February is A World Full of Journeys and Migrations by Martin Howard and Christopher Core, which uncovers some of the most fascinating stories of migration and journeys that have taken place throughout history and across each continent. From the very first people to leave Africa almost 70,000 years ago, to Viking sea traders, Huguenot refugees and migrants travelling from the Caribbean to Britain as part of the Windrush generation, this book makes us think, where would we be without immigration? People have crossed borders for many different reasons, including escaping war, famine, persecution and global warming, finding work or to move to another country. And this book shows that every single journey has the capacity to change the world. Big thanks Quarto for the finished copy. Aftershocks by former Children's Laureate Anne Fine, out on the 10th of February, explores the different ways in which people deal with grief and how it can affect not only individuals but communities at large. When a family mix-up means Louie has to tag along with his engineer father and his team as they head for a routine job in the farthest flung and most neglected province of the Federation, he's not expecting to be caught up in an earthquake, and certainly not one with an ensuing tsunami either. But when this catastrophe devastates the entire isolated coastal region and its community, laying bare their unsettling ways, can Louie face his darkest fears and the recent loss of his own brother? Big thanks Old Barn Books for the finished copy. From Adventures on Trains co-author Sam Sedgman comes Epic Adventures, Explore the World in 12 Amazing Train Journeys, out on the 17th of February, and illustrated by Sam Brewster. After recently hosting an event with Sam, he is just the perfect person, with his encyclopedic knowledge of all things locomotive, to author this book that encapsulates the excitement and wonder of adventure through 12 of the world's most wondrous train journeys. Travel on trains such as the Eurostar, the Orient Express, the T-train from Kolkata to Darjeeling, and the first transcontinental railroad from Chicago to San Francisco, as we take in some of the rich history, culture, landscape and wildlife of the 6 continents, 34 countries and numerous cities seen through the windows along the way. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of this and climb aboard. Return to the spellbinding world of Cordelia Hatmaker in The Mapmakers by Tamsin Merchant and Paula Escobar, the soaring sequel to The Hatmakers, out on the 17th of February. Cordelia has saved England from war, but she still hasn't found her missing father. Ever since Cordelia discovered the hidden map in her father's telescope, she's been searching the streets of London by starlight, trying to uncover its secrets and the truth about her dad's disappearance. But she never expects to stumble upon a secret society of mapmakers, or to learn that magic isn't limited to the few maker families, but instead is all around, if you know where to look. But danger is lurking around every corner, and Cordelia must convince the rival maker families to work together for once, not only to bring her father home, but to save the very essence of magic itself. Thanks Puffin for the stunning hardback finished copy. Also out on the 17th of February is North Wind, the final novel by Gary Paulson, the best-selling author of Hatchet. Another high-stakes survival story, this one is about a young boy on the knife edge between life and death, where the raging seas meet a coastal wilderness. When a deadly plague reaches the small fish camp where he lives, orphan Leaf is forced to take to the water in a canoe. He flees northward, thrown from one danger to the next, and is unsure of his destination. But the deeper into the journey that he paddles, the closer Leaf comes to his true self and to the sea in which he paddles in. Big thanks Macmillan for the finished copy. One Camel Called Doug by Lou Fraser and Sarah Warburton, out on the 17th of February, is a camel counting caper about Doug, who is all alone and sometimes wonders whether one is enough. Although it makes playing hide and seek terribly tough. But when another camel turns up, and then another one, and another one, and another one, Doug delights in all the possibilities that these new friends can bring, including swooshing down the sand dunes on a bobsleigh and playing five-a-side football. But when the excitement gets too much and Doug feels all camelled out, he realises that the peace and quiet of being one gives him just as much pleasure as the plentiful. Thanks Simon & Schuster for the finished copy. I really like the look of Don't Ask the Dragon by Lem Cisse and Greg Stobbs, out on the 24th of February. And this is the story of a little boy called Alan, who goes on an adventure. It's his birthday, but where can he go to celebrate it? I know, he thinks, I'll ask the animals. But they all reply with the same reply of, I don't know, but whatever you do, don't ask the dragon, he will eat you. Feeling dejected after asking them all, he stumbles upon the dragon, who may have the right answer for Alan that he's been looking for all along. Big thanks Canongate for the stunning finished copy. Step into an enchanted world in the sky beneath the stone by Alex Malarkey, out on the 24th of February, with Ivy North, an adventurer and expert map reader who can pitch a tent in 4 minutes flat, but who has one problem. She's afraid to go outside. But that all changes when Ivy's little brother is transformed into a kestrel and she must follow him into a strange and magical realm beyond the garden wall. Can she battle her fears of being out in the open and navigate this world of powerful fairies and purple skies to break her brother's curse? Thanks Kelpies for the finished copy. To end the month is Song of the River by Jill Lewis and Xana Goldhawk, out on the 24th of February. In this one, award-winning author Jill Lewis returns to her heartland of nature writing with this tale that tells the story of Carrie and her mum, who are trying to not only rebuild their home but also their lives after a devastating flood. Hearing of plans to reintroduce beavers to the area, Carrie knows she must get involved with the rewilding project. But with it facing resistance from other locals, can she convince them to give the beavers a chance? Especially with the changes that they make to the waterways that could help prevent further flooding and which could save her home from being destroyed for a second time. Big thanks Barrington Stoke for the finished copy. So these are the books I'm most excited about reading this month. Let me know in the comments below which children's books you're looking forward to reading, particularly from those featured in this video or any others you've got your eye on. As always, keep reading and I'll see you in the next video.